Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today, we are diving into the book, The Stimulated Mind. Okay, let's dive into this because, there's a really profound tension in how we view our brains as we get older. We tend to think that childhood is this magical, fleeting window for rapid adaptation and learning, right? And that adulthood is just a slow, inevitable decline. But what if that completely misunderstands how the human mind actually works?
I think most of us carry around this quiet, kind of fatalistic background dread. We view the brain like a candle burning down. We worry that every single time we forget a name, misplace our keys, or feel that heavy afternoon brain fog, it's literally just another piece of our mind melting away forever. We treat cognitive decline as this ticking clock that we simply have zero power to stop.
But it is absolutely time to shatter that myth. We need to discard that candle burning down mindset and embrace the reality that the brain is actually a muscle waiting to be used. Dr. Tommy Wood, the brilliant neuroscientist and author of our source material today, presents a radical and incredibly optimistic reality. Your brain isn't doomed. In fact, it actively adapts, it strengthens, and it builds resilience when it gets the right inputs, no matter your age. And this brilliantly illustrates where we got things so wrong for so long. There was a famous experiment involving barn owls. Researchers put these prism goggles on the owls, which completely shifted their perceived vision. The young owls quickly adapted, relearned how to hunt, and behaved totally normally. But the adult owls? Even after months of wearing the exact same goggles, they just couldn't adapt. They kept striking at the empty air, missing the mice directly in front of them. This single study really cemented the false assumption in the scientific community that adult brains simply cannot change.
But Dr. Wood knows otherwise, and his background makes him uniquely qualified to challenge this. Just look at the incredible spectrum of his day-to-day work. On one hand, he is an associate professor of pediatrics and neuroscience, working on therapies to save the highly vulnerable brains of premature babies. On the flip side, he's a performance coach for elite Formula One drivers, keeping their adult brains razor-sharp while they make split-second decisions at 300 kilometers per hour. He seamlessly bridges high-level academic science with the most extreme real-world applications.
Because he treats the brain as a dynamic performance organ, his work centers on a concept called cognitive headroom. So, the crucial point is, this is the total amount of mental function you have available to act as a buffer against the forces of aging, modern stress, or illness. By expanding your brain's capacity right now through demanding tasks, you're literally building an intricate backup web of neural pathways for the future.
Think of cognitive headroom exactly like your brain's financial savings account. You want to make robust, consistent deposits early and often. The larger the balance in your cognitive reserve, the more you can afford to spend if cognitive decline tries to sneak up on you later in life. Even if biological decline or dementia does strike, having this massive buffer means the visible effects are delayed for years, all because you are starting from such a high, well-funded baseline.
Which brings us to a quietly profound realization. Aging, as it relates to the brain, is not necessarily your biological destiny. Wood argues that much of what we call aging is simply the brain pruning unused pathways because we stop challenging it. If you stop demanding complex processing from your brain, it ruthlessly stops maintaining the structure for it. We aren't necessarily just getting old. We are actively depriving our brains of the stimuli they desperately need to stay alive and connected.
To fix this, Dr. Wood introduces a highly practical, evidence-based triad for lifelong brain health, the 3S framework. Step 1 is stimulation, Step 2 is sleep, and Step 3 is nutrient supply. Now notice what isn't on this list. There are no thousands of dollar biohacks, no impossible morning routines, and no extreme stressful diets. This is all about leveraging simple, everyday habits to create compounding benefits over your lifetime.
Let's start with that first S, stimulation. Answer this honestly. When did you last do something genuinely hard with your brain? And I don't mean just reading an article, I mean something that actually made you struggle. Modern life is practically engineered for pure comfort. Our GPS navigates the streets, algorithms finish our sentences, and our entertainment is totally passive. These modern comforts are fantastic, don't get me wrong, but they are actively starving our brains of the vital friction required to grow.
We often trick ourselves into thinking we're being stimulated, right? We do the morning Sudoku or a crossword puzzle, but the reality is, if you are already good at Sudoku, doing more of it is just a passive hobby. Your brain has become efficient at it, so it stops building new pathways. True stimulation requires the active frustration of novelty. It's learning a new language, picking up an instrument, or navigating a new city without a map.
That feeling of being totally frustrated and feeling a little bit stupid while learning, that is the literal sensation of your brain forging new neural connections. You need to seek that feeling out.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the second S, sleep.
If stimulation is how you break the cognitive muscle down, sleep is exactly how you build it back up. It shouldn't be treated as a luxury. It is a completely non-negotiable performance phase. While you might be unconscious, your brain is treating sleep as an incredibly demanding, active window to physically clear out metabolic waste. But more importantly for our cognitive headroom, it's when your brain solidifies memory and actually consolidates those complex skills you struggled to learn while awake. Without it, all that great daytime stimulation is essentially wasted.
And finally, we reach the third S, nutrient supply.
This is all about your brain's physical infrastructure and how effectively we deliver oxygen and energy to our cells. The wellness industry desperately wants to sell you on obscure supplements and unproven magic powders, but because your brain relies entirely on your body's vascular system, the true everyday levers are far simpler. It's about consistent movement, maintaining leg strength, and maximizing blood flow. Physical movement isn't just about weight management. It literally releases growth factors that act like fertilizer for your neurons. Strong muscles and good cardiovascular health are the actual proven drivers of brain supply.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer magnitude of this number. Between 45% and 70% of dementia and cognitive decline cases are actually modifiable. That means they are completely preventable through exactly the lifestyle choices we've just outlined. Genetics absolutely play a role, sure, but the vast majority of your brain's future resilience is quite literally in your hands right now.
And that leads us to the ultimate takeaway from this explainer today. Forget the supplements. The most powerful brain drug is a challenging life. Cognitive longevity isn't about hiding away and trying to avoid damage. It's about diving deeper into life. It's about actively seeking out engaging social communities, getting up and moving your body with purpose, and fully embracing the mental friction of learning something new. Your brain is a muscle waiting for you to challenge it. So what challenge will you give it today?
Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.